Hmm. This final injury report's looking a little questionable for the New York Jets heading into this Patriots game. It's not all bad. There's some good news too, but let's get into all of it. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
You're fucking wrong!
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. If you prefer that medium, feel free to do so. Like the video and hit subscribe as you're heading in. And people, I want to let you know right at the beginning of the show that we've been trying to get NY Jets FL, his emoji. We are 50 members away. How do you join the Boy Green Coffee Club? Go into the YouTube description down below. It's quite simple. Join the Boy Green Coffee Club here. Click that. It's only $2.99 a month. It's also currently the pinned comment on YouTube if you're watching live. If you're watching after the fact and this video is no longer live, you can always do it in the YouTube description down below. And if you're feeling froggy, feel free to gift some memberships to your fellow viewers. You could do that if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the money sign. Final option is gift memberships. You could gift as many as you like. Let's see if we could get NY Jets FL, his emoji again, only 50 members away. We could see if we could rally and get it together. Snowball's already created the emoji. All I have to do is flip the switch as soon as we unlock it, baby. So let's see if we can make that happen. But let's see if we can make something else happen. If I can manifest a guest on this show that is interesting, always providing opinions that certainly rattle people both in good and bad ways. Let's see if I could do it. Let's snap the fingers. Oh, hop on Pop Estinson. Here we go. Welcome to the show.
Hey now. I actually got some breaking news.
Okay.
I just signed a contract with the Jets. And as such, I felt I was empowered and inclined that I just read them the riot act in the locker room.
Wow.
Telling them that, hey, let's really try to win this one. And I figured that was a going thing as a new signed person. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, for those who missed it, Davante Adams, after the Steelers game that ended brutally when the Jets were up 15-6, 2 scores, they didn't score a single point the rest of that evening. Davante Adams rallied the troops after the game. Originally wasn't going to say something because, to your point, he's been there for 5 minutes. And then he said, you know what, F this. Look at our record. Like, if I don't say it now, he said this as a direct quote, but like, I couldn't sleep if I didn't say something. And I felt like I should have said something because the season could go off the rails or God knows what could happen. So he said, rallied the troops, said, hey guys, I've only been here for 5 minutes, but blah. And apparently gave this rousing speech that Aaron Rodgers called one of the realest speeches he's ever heard in his 20 years in the NFL. And Jeff Ulbrich apparently referenced it in team meetings, and it's rallied the troops. Again, to be honest, that's a little pathetic that a guy who came in for 5 minutes all of a sudden is rallying the troops and seeing things, apparently because he identified issues with the team that we couldn't see ourselves. That really, like I said, is sort of pathetic and embarrassing. And to be honest, if it works, it works. That's again, I am a results-oriented guy. If we get wins because of this, terrific. But it just seems kind of weird that we needed that kind of push to try to find that. If I'm being honest, and randomly, I just want to say this before because we're going to get lost if we don't say it now. The Yankees losing on a walk-off grand slam for the first time in World Series history. You hate to see it. So, to our Yankees listeners, sorry, that's tough. Anyway,
hey now. All right.
Oof.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I think you wrote an article. I think we talked about it. People have talked about it. But here's what no one's really said, right?
Okay.
So you're in that locker room. It's after a loss. It's after a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
And so anybody in the room, let's take Tyron Smith, for example. Tyron Smith gets up there and provide some feedback. That's not the kind of guy he is. But Tyron Smith gets up there and, and you're like, oh, that makes it makes a lot of sense. The guy that just shows up, the guy you don't know from Adam, especially if he was calling people out and specific things out, right? I'm not sure how that hits. Just take it for a second. Forget about the Jets. Forget about Davante Adams. But let's say at work, right? You have some big project that's going on, and a guy that just shows up, a guy, some hotshot guy shows up, and then the project goes to crap. By the way, they were part of the project at the end. And then they read you the riot act and call you out as a team. How does that? I mean, just think about it that way. How does that hit? And some people would be like, "Fuck this guy. Who are you? How about it? How about letting your cup of coffee get cold for a second, buddy?" So I'm just saying, I'm not sure. If you just think about it that way, think about it in your own life, your own application. How would it hit you? Is this Jamoke comes in? I don't know if you can say that word anymore. Anyways, you got this Magoo that comes in, and he's literally been there for like 5 minutes. He hasn't even unpacked his bag, and he's calling you out, calling the team out. I just think that I don't think that came across. I don't think the media even talked about this aspect of it, right? Like, you're like, hey, shut the fuck up and sit down, buddy. Excuse my language.
No, actually, obvious. So, okay, Davante has his speech, but it's private. We don't know about that speech until other people start talking about the speech, or we don't hear about it. And what happened is all these players are doing media things saying, man, that Davante speech. This happened, I think it was yesterday, the day before. C.J. Mosley, one of the Jets' leaders on the team, is talking about the speech because he's asked about it. Rich Cimini turns to C.J. and says exactly what you just said. Hey, CJ, there could be some people that perceive it like, who the fuck is this guy? He said it in smoother terms, but who the F is this guy? He just came in here and he's like saying this. Like, what the hell do you know, buddy? And that, I thought it was because teeth here. But, who the heck are you, buddy, that you're going to come in here and point this or that? CJ mostly cuts off Rich Cimini. And he says that's a terrible perspective to have. Like, it's an accountability thing. And if someone of his stature, I think that also helped with the message delivery. It's Davante Adams. Everyone knows who that is. And he's a guy that is sort of, to your Tyron Smith point, he doesn't seem like a rah-rah guy. He doesn't seem like a guy that goes in front of the room often and speaks. So for him to have the gall, for lack of a better word, I'm not sure if it's courage is the thing that drove him to the front of the room, but the say, I have to say something because, like, I feel so compelled to do this, and that they did it. It sounds like, again, we don't know for every player. We obviously we don't get to speak to every player and put them on the mountaintop and say, hey, how do you really feel about this? But of course, to your point, that was one of my thoughts. If it wasn't Davante, if it's a kicker we bring in, and the kicker's like, excuse me, I've got something to say. And we're like, who the fuck is this guy? But yeah, I think the fact that it's Davante Adams certainly helps those efforts.
It offsets it a little bit, I'm sure. But I also think there's probably people in the locker room that were not engaged or enthused by it. But anyways.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I go back to the end of the story. It's results oriented. If the Jets come out with fire and look awesome against New England, I get it's New England, so you really have to look really great, like blow them out like 30-3 or something. Like, okay, something resonated in that speech. But if they either lose in any way or win like 12-9, we're like, ooh, not really sure that hit home. I think the proof will be in the pudding. We'll be able to fact check this very quickly, I believe, for that reason. Let's do this. Let's get into the very brutal injury report for the New York Jets. We have a column in the YouTube description down below that you guys can read along. And the Jets sent out their final injury report yesterday. So 3 players have already been ruled out. That is Ashton Davis, who was one of our starting safeties because he replaced another one of our starting safeties. So he's out for this game. Likey Fotu, a rotational defensive lineman, he's out with a knee injury. Ashton Davis had a concussion. And the biggest one is Elijah Vera-Tucker, our starting right guard, is out. He has an ankle injury. And also 2 guys are doubtful, which is basically out, but anything can happen. Tony Adams with a hamstring. He doesn't look good. And Alan Lazard with a chest. You saw him battling through it last week after a couple of catches. He kept reaching for his chest. So those 2 are doubtful, so they're probably out as well. So we have 5 guys that are kind of floating out. But on the 3 straight-up out guys, Jeff Ulbrich indicated that IR is a possibility for any number of them. Which that decision would come down today. That's incredible. Like Ashton Davis, fine. You could put that one aside. He wasn't playing very well. Likey Fotu, kind of whatever. He was on IR to start the season anyway. That's mid. But if he's talking about AVT, losing our starting right guard, That would be absolute. It's devastating that you're losing him for this game because now you have to go to your third string offensive lineman because Xavier Newman, the guy who was stretchered off the field, he's on IR, so he's out for a minimum of 4 games. So you'd go to Jake Hansen, looks like the most likely guy to potentially start at right guard with AVT out. AVT has been one of the better pass protecting offensive guards in football this year, according to some of that PFF data. The Jets as an overall unit have been kind of shaky. Aaron Rodgers is inside the top 10 of most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL this year, but AVT has been doing a phenomenal job. So that's a brutal blow. And if he goes on IR, obviously he'd miss the Patriots game and 3 more games after that at a minimum. That would be tough. Again, that IR part is not official yet. Maybe when you hear the show later in the day, it will be. But Jeff Ulbrich said it's a possibility, which is incredibly scary.
Yeah, I would tell you this. Here it is. It's time to shake it up. It's time to, it is 2-5. Mm-hmm. It's time to move it or lose it. And what I mean by that is let's do some things. Let's move Tyron Smith to guard. Let's move Tyron Smith to guard.
He's never played guard before. Doesn't that sound a little crazy?
No. I'll tell you that tackle, guard is a challenging position. Tackle is far more challenging. And the challenges and the issues that he has had at tackle will not exist at guard. It's not that he's not strong anymore. It's not. No one is going to beat him on the speed rush around the end as a guard, right? He's in the middle, right? So the gaps that he has had will be masked or overcome. He is still one of the strongest guys in the locker room. His hands still are. That's what they say.
Vice grip.
His grip strength is, some of the strongest that anyone's ever seen. You put him in the interior, right? And just so you know, right? You know what people do? You know what employees do? They do what employers tell them to do. And I put him as guard. I put him in there, right? What else do guards do? They block. There's a few techniques that he may not be as great about, but he's been around, right? He's been around the offensive lineman. It won't be a mystery to him, is what I'm saying. And it will help him overcome some of the gaps he's had. No, like I said, you're the guard. You don't have to worry about someone beating you around the edge. You got a team in the middle. Will it be perfect? No. Will it be better? Yes. Is that their best option, in my opinion? Yes.
Okay, so that means you're all for Olu Fashanu on the blind side then?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
And look at it. Talent. Who is most talented, that's who you put on the field. You put your best team on the field. And yes, if it's uncomfortable, if it's awkward, okay, get over it. You're cashing that check, right? So I would put him in there. Is it a long-term solution? Maybe not. But I would do it. What do you have to lose? That's what I say. Put him in at guard, and then it's old-fashioned time on the end.
Man, there's not a lot of things you can say on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis that surprise me. I've been around you for all my life. But wow, that one caught me off guard. But that would put the best 5 on the field instead of Jake Hansen, no offense. But a guy that has some level of experience. He had to appear in 7 games last year, made 4 starts last year for the Jets because of our injury woes. I'm not always a big fan of musical chairs, but this would guarantee you're getting the best 5. Olu Fashanu is a first-round draft choice, and we're having injuries, and he's still not going on the field because it seems like outside of Morgan, he's like premium tackle insurance exclusively, either left or right. He's also never played guard before. So, yeah, wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Teams do it. This is not, unique. Teams move concept. Around. And, who's better? Who's going to be better? Olu, and what I mean by that, Olu going to the position that he's played his whole career, right?
Yeah.
He would be more challenged in the middle. And the fact that Olu probably brings more to the table about protecting the edge than Tyron does at this moment. So to me, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, because again, Tyron at guard or Jake Hansen at guard.
Right? What do you know? Yeah. I would 100% do it. And if they haven't thought about it, then if they haven't even considered it, if they haven't even discussed, hey, you know what? Let's, right now, every position, the coaches, When they break it down in those individual meetings, hey, you know what? We need 10% more out of every position. What can we do that we haven't done? What can we, and whatever it is a blocking scheme? Every position needs to do X amount more. I need you to give me this much more. And if they all gave that much more, if it's one extra play on the offensive line, one extra sack, just this much more, what can we innovate and go outside the box and challenge ourselves? That's what they need to do.
Yeah, I would just say that the only reason they wouldn't have thought of it is a lot of people hate our offensive line coach, Keith Carter, and he's a guy that had a not great reputation among players. I spoke to someone in Tennessee who gave me quite an account from Tennessee Titans offensive lineman perspective of how much they did not like him. And apparently he has like sort of a militaristic style, which I know can rub people the wrong way. And just in general, that they haven't loved his coaching. So yeah, that's what Dyke Tyson says. You remember the Boy Green Coffee Club? I love it, but doesn't our offensive line coach suck? So so it'd be up to him to see if he's willing to wiggle a little bit, which makes me less confident it's possible. But I love the idea. Again, at first when he said Tyron Smith at guard, I went what? But like the more it kind of marinates, I'm like, well, that does get the best 5 on the field, and isn't that the goal at the end of the day? So.
Right, and I would tell you that is really if Ulbrich, am I saying his name right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, if Ulbrich is not looking at each position coach and like that, you come in, the first thing I do when you're a leader, and he was inside, so it's a little different, right? But if you get promoted, that you are now in charge. If you're not evaluating everybody you have, every position coach, is this the right guy? Is he making us better? Is there someone better out there? Is there someone better in the building? And if he's not challenging the team, like, hey, man, you coming and doing what you've been doing, right? Aaron Rodgers in the top 10 getting the most sacks. We can't run without Breece Hall. Sorry. Breece Hall. Without Breece Hall folding like a lawn chair, right? Offensive line coach, what are you doing? And by the way, running backs goes, what are you doing? And if you don't do that, you don't have that one-on-one with everybody, like, I'm the head coach. I bring each of the position coaches in. Let's look at your product because that's your product. That offensive line, that's your output. And if it sucks, what are you doing to fix it? We're going to try harder. Okay, you're gone. All right.
Yeah.
Next man up. You know what? Tyron Smith is now the offensive line coach. He needs to be challenging. That's what's going to turn the season around. Not anyone speaking in front of him. The head coach really putting the boots to these position coaches. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to make us better?
Yeah, and I like the honesty, which I think is important. FFL 98 asked the question initially that went in my brain. When you said Tyron Smith the guard, I started to think like, okay, what is it? And then I quickly dismissed this idea. So FFL 98 asked, only question I have is what about pulling plays? Because that was, again, when you said Tyron Smith to guard, I initially said, well, like he's never played guard. And then in my head, I'm like, so what differences will we be having from that perspective? But to be honest, they get Tyron Smith on the move a lot.
Right, yeah, and you got to go watch some film. There's some entertaining film when he moves. Right. So, is he going to beat, pick a player? Can they beat him around the edge? He's moving, and you're the guy that's typically out there on the edge. When he comes around the corner, you're that safety, right? And you better do a load check in your pants when you see him coming around the end with because he's got his like armor, right? He's got like the 2 elbow break. Besides being an enormous man, right? Yeah. He moves pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And you see him coming around, right? And it looks like Optimus Prime is bearing down on you, right? And a lot of times they take the crumple, right? Mm-hmm. Make some business decisions out there.
Yeah, so I agree. Watch some of the highlight film of Tyron Smith on the train like a locomotive. I really love it. Now, normally that's great news for the Jets, right? You have locomotive Tyron Smith and then someone behind him, and you're like, and once you get to the second and third levels, you're like, oh God, we're not used to seeing a Tyron Smith here. So it's normally good news. The only problem is earlier this season, I forget the game, but we were in the same situation. Tyron Smith on the move. I'm pretty sure Breece Hall was the back, and whoever the squirrely defender was, like cut back and just kind of like threw his limp carcass back there. So he got around Tyron and made Tyron fall because of the awkwardness of him him trying to throw himself into the play, and he was able to blow up the play. And I'm like, damn, like that was a creative way. Instead of just getting crumpled how he normally would have by Tyron, he just kind of went and threw his body, and Tyron was like, what the hell? And then like it just blew up the play. So
as a Cowboys fan, I've seen Tyron Smith blindside somebody almost into the stands. Like they blow the whistle, the play's over. Why is Tyron Smith just now coming back into the frame? And then you see this other guy like limping back to the defensive huddle, right after he'd been kicked his ass down the field 30 yards.
Right. So it's fair that he's not batting 1,000 in those situations. Like I said, I'd have to go back to see what the game was, but someone got him on that, and I was like, oh, like that should have been a massive play. You know?
Has it been? Would it be perfect? No. But again, by the way, anybody, and I'm not digging on our gentleman asked question, but how many pulling plays have you seen this year? It's been a lot of hot back isolations. It's been a lot of inside the guards.
Plays. Like they've really loved that Breece Hall sweep plays where you kind of get some guys on the move and groove.
And so maybe you'd run the sweep plays, maybe 75% are to the other side, right?
Oh, sure.
Minimize it because you put yourself at risk for him doing something. Now he's not foreign to him to be pulling, but he's normally pulling without having the unison with the guard, right? You're the tackle, you're the leading the train, you're the guard, you're following the tackle. So it'd be the coordination, as simple as it sounds, would be different, but it's definitely not unachievable. So yeah, that's 100%. I think the move to make. Hopefully they do.
Yeah, very interesting. So, the obvious injury report news we all see and go, oh, God, is Elijah Vera-Tucker being out at a minimum for this game? And again, let's see what happens later today. I don't want to just randomly speculate, but Ulbrich left the door open for IR for these 3 out guys, which, again, are Ashton, AVT, and also Likey Fotu. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But the sneaky one that you kind of gloss over is Alan Lazard with the chest. So doubtful again. How I evaluate it is you're in, okay, that's 100%. You're out, okay, that's 0%. Probable 75%, questionable 50%. And I see doubtful as 25%. I don't know if that's a real math of it, but like when I see doubtful, that's basically out. So you see this for Lazard, where he's basically going to be out for this game. 2 things I immediately think of. Number 1, Mike Williams. Thank God he didn't trade him for a half-eaten Snickers bar this week, for God's sakes, because we would have been even deeper on the depth chart. There was a lot of noise that the Jets were going to just flip Mike Williams for nothing, like a 7th or a 6th. That ridiculous. So I'm glad they didn't, number 1. Number 2,
did you say you like Mike Williams?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. No, Mike Williams, I'm glad that they did not trade him for a half-eaten Snickers bar for the depth, because if Lazard's out and you traded Mike Williams away, you'd be going to Xavier Gibson or maybe Malachi Corley, which would excite people. Maybe he finally would be active, I guess, for once. But with him out, now the onus is on Mike Williams, to your point. How has that relationship evolved with Aaron? Because there's been 2 moments, at least this season, where Aaron Rodgers said, Mike Williams, and whoever you want to blame, we don't have to get into the weeds on that, but like twice, Aaron Rodgers, Mike Williams was Aaron Rodgers' intended target on 2 plays that ended up in interceptions. Whoever you want to blame for that. Obviously, it didn't go the way the Jets as a team were hoping for. Now he will have no choice but to trust him unless he just force feeds it to Davante and Garrett. So Mike's going to be on the field in 3 wide receiver sets. I am curious to see how things have evolved. Again, the Patriots are not a great team, obviously, so I don't know if they're going to push the Jets to fully expand their entire offense and make sure everyone touches the rock somewhere in there, but it'll be kind of curious to see, because Lazard just has this great chemistry with Aaron, and while there's been a ton of drops, which has been disturbing, the Jets lead the league in drops. I'll probably tweet out that stat at some point today if I have a minute, from Rich Cimini on his podcast talking about it, but like Lazard has been scoring a bunch of touchdowns, and there's been a lot of 50-50 plays where Lazard comes down with it. You're like, okay, Aaron just trusted him to be there. There's not going to be that innate trust, I imagine, with a guy like Mike Williams. So like I said, that's kind of a sneaky injury people aren't paying attention to on the injury report. They're probably glossing over that. But depending on how long Lazard is out, we don't know what the chest injury is specifically. I think that one's a sneaky one people aren't giving a lot of love to from what I've seen over the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, I am with you. 100%, and I'll go. I think it's it may be the most significant injury for the Jets.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, really, because I would say, and everyone, I'm going to wake people up this morning, right?
Mhm.
So Lazard is
Mhm.
the most reliable receiver on the team right now. And what I mean
Wow.
by that, his chemistry with Aaron, right? Davante, it's gonna take a while. In 2 or 3 games, it's gonna be wherever it was, recognizing that neither one of them is the player they were when they were playing together a while back. But
Mhm.
Rodgers trusts Lazard where he's going to be, and so whoever takes his place, he's not going to have that trust. And now he has that person where he has that full faith and confidence is not on the field anymore. So it's got to be interesting, and I'm only throwing Mike Williams the 50-50 balls, which are really 80-20 when you throw it to him, right? Right.
Mhm.
You don't, jump up, get the ball, right? And if you're not going to get it, abuse the defender so he doesn't catch it, right? But it's going to be more important for Davante to step up. But I think it's going to be a big loss that Lazard's not there, 100%.
I've really enjoyed. Again, we're not seeing it a lot. We're not seeing the diversity of the route tree from Mike Williams. Again, to your point, it's it's very old school commercial. Pick things up, I put them down. It's hey, just throw them up a ball in those situations. But I've kind of liked a couple of times they've gone to this season. He doesn't have a lot of opportunities, but just the big slants of just like throwing it up. And Mike Williams is a power forward. He bodies the guy out and gets a play. He had his only catch of the Steelers game was a fourth and. It was like fourth and whatever it was, but he caught it and went 15 yards. So it was a conversion on fourth down. And that was a big play during the game. And Mike Williams converted that. He's had other big slant plays where he just gets nice big chunk plays in the middle of the field. So that's another thing we see. FL Phil 98 asked, do we finally see Malachi Corley? I would imagine so, because down Lazard, you have to have another receiver. I assume that receiver is Corley. And I'd love to see him because, we have no idea what he is. He's been cryogenically frozen. He has one catch on the year for 4 friggin' yards. So we have no idea. But I would imagine we do have to see him because of the Lazard action. And whoa, mamacita, we got a 10-pack of memberships coming in from Jug Artist 14. Whoa, mamacita. Okay. A little bit of this action. Okay, let's first off, thank you so much, Jugs Artist 14. Let's update the banner. We're now 40 members away from NY Jets FL finally getting his membership emoji, baby. So let's see if we could do that, and let's read the 10 new members of the Boy Green Coffee Club. Absolutely freaking love it, a 10-pack. My favorite. Okay, let's go. We got D. Brown, Admiral Average 548, New York Jets Smoking Lounge, Thomas Roseman, Brian Hilario, Brandon Barnes, Iconical Ware, Thomas Pohl, Mr. Bonesy, welcome back, NYJ92. You are all now members of the Boy Green Coffee Club, and Jared B. already dropped it in there. That is the Discord link where the party goes well beyond 7:30. We chat in there about our tailgate food, our fantasy football, NFL, and some of the exclusives like bonus interviews coming up. You guys get to hear about that before the rest of the world does. So it's a great Jets community of Boy Green Coffee Club members. So Jug Artist 14, thank you so much for spreading the love. Again, we're 40 members away from NY Jets FL finally getting his emoji. Super cool. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, Dad, real quick, because I didn't give you a chance to answer that. Malachi Corley, we're going to see some Corley action on Sunday with Lazard out probably.
Yeah, I think there'll be some opportunities for him to get in the game. For the love of God, right?
Oh, okay.
Make sure the package is right. Right. He hasn't been in the field a lot. Make it, some simple, a Z pass, put him in the slot, whatever it is. Give him the ball in
orchestrated touches, probably.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's
right.
what's going to happen.
I think it's good, and I think it might be exciting. He gets lightning in a bottle and hard to tackle. Mm-hmm. I would absolutely love to see him get a few plays out in open space.
Okay, a couple other injury notes, just because this injury report was quite long from the New York Jets. A couple other things here. Morgan Moses has been limited participant all week. Jeff Ulbrich said that he is officially questionable, injury designation-wise, but he was trending in the right direction, so good. We're only going to be missing, it sounds like, one of our starting offensive linemen, an AVT, but not Morgan. Kenny Yeboah is a full participant all week. He's officially questionable, but the Jets confirmed they're not activating him off IR. His 21-day practice window was open. He got injured before the season with an abdomen injury. That'll be great for run blocking eventually. Sounds like he will not be activated today, so he remains in IR, and then he will be activated in the very, very near future. Hassan Reddick is not listed on the injury report, but he will be back, which means they will have to activate him, number one, from the did not report roster exemption list. He had an exemption for until like first week in November or something. So the NFL gave them a special exemption to see if Hassan was going to be ready. Sounds like he is ready, so they will activate him. They'll have to create a spot when they do so. That could come via potentially putting a couple of these other players on IR. So we could talk about that in a second, Pop, and I'll just rip off the rest of these. The secondary's back. DJ Reed from a groin. He does not have an injury designation. He was a full participant all week with the groin. Michael Carter II started off as a limited participant in the first day of practice, but has been a full participant the other 2 days. He has no injury designation. He's back. So the Jets secondary is whole for the first time since I think it's like week 2, where everyone is all back together there in the secondary, and everyone else is going to be good to go. That is Tyler Conklin with the hip. He's good. Will McDonald with the shoulder. He's good. Aaron Rodgers is good. He's in. Tyron Smith just had rest days all week, which is part of his normal process. He's good to go. Chaz Surratt and Quincy Williams are both good. Surratt with the heel and Quincy Williams with the neck. So an incredibly long injury report, but it seems like the bulk of everybody is going to be back outside of some of those ones we talked about, a few minutes ago.
Right. Yeah. It's I would say there's a few things that we really have to pay attention to this week. Okay. And one of them is with some of the limitations, whether on the injury report or not, of the secondary. This kid from New England, Drake May, right?
Yeah.
If I was going to tell you over the past 2 games, which are the only 2 games Drake May has played, Drake May and Aaron Rodgers, who has a better touchdown to interception ratio? Who's thrown for more yards? Who has a better completion percentage? They're all the same answers, just for the record, for everyone listening. They are all the same answers, right? And so it's that doesn't matter. No, and with the banged up secondary, with the gaps in some of the secondary, it's not something you can ignore, right? And at some point, and this is not hatred, it's just whatever it is. At some point, the Jets have to be the team that they are supposed to be. You got all this talent, right? It's like you're a chef. You have like these world-class ingredients, right? You got the filet mignon, we got the truffles, we have all this other bullshit that rich people eat. And you're like, you get it, and you're like, the sandwich tastes like shit, right? Yeah. It's about time that we played the way up to our talent. And I'd say you can't sleep on this Drake May, especially since they like to run the ball. I'm telling you that's the concern. Right, is they're going to do what we've been talking about, the mix it up, the play action. They know that the Jets have had struggles stopping the run. And then now, unlike 4 or 5 weeks ago, which seems like a lifetime ago for Jets fans, how you felt leaving that game on Thursday night, the dancing in the parking lot, that great feeling you had. How does it feel now? Right? Not great. And so I would say that this is it. This game is it. This time is the people to live up to their paychecks, live up to their reputations, because we can't keep making excuses. And that's across the board, every single person on the roster.
That's a fair way to put it. There's no question about it. So we'll see if the Patriots are able to take advantage of that. But what I would say about Drake May, to your point, so I think there are 2 things here. I think the offensive ceiling for the New England Patriots obviously dramatically increased, switching from Jacoby Brissett to Drake May. obviously, look at the numbers. Look at what Drake's been able to do. He's taking good. And yes, that was a good food analogy. He's giving you credit. Or he said that's my food analogy that you apparently stole. So there you go.
Calm down, Easy. Go back
well,
to making your 3-minute grits, all right?
We'll have to, yeah, I guess that's a good point. We'll have to look back at the patents on that one. But, he increases the ceiling, but obviously the other thing is the turnover potential. We saw that in his first appearance where he came out in that Houston game. There was like 3 turnovers immediately. There was interceptions. There was fumbles. There was all things all over the place.
You talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Good one. No, I was talking about Drake May. But that gives you guys some opportunities. And the Jets have only had, I think, 2 picks on the year on defense, which is incredibly low. There's other people, by the way, who have only 1 pick on the year. So, the Jets aren't last, but they're not in great position either. So it's about time to take advantage of a young quarterback that you think with your defensive talents. Again, Will McDonald, second in the NFL in sacks. Hassan Reddick coming back. He's going to be in on obvious passing situations. There should be some opportunities with this young buck, too. He's going to take some shots. So the corners, you love having the corners back. The safeties are all going to be new. It looks like I heard Hap screaming earlier, Green Goblin. It's his own revenge game that we haven't really been talking about there for Jalen Mills, a longtime former member of the New England Patriots. He'll be starting at one of the safety spots. And the other, I would imagine, is Isaiah Oliver. He has been starting in the nickel for the Jets, but Michael Carter II's back, and Isaiah Oliver can play boundary corner, slot corner, safety. I imagine he goes back to safety, pair with Jalen Mills. That's probably the safety decision. The Jets have not made that official. That's some speculation by me, but kind of connecting the dots. That's what I think your starting safety group is going to be, so it should be interesting. Before we open up the phone lines, Pop, let's get your official prediction here. By the way, the current betting line are the Jets are a 7-point favorite in New England against the Patriots. The Jets are 2-5. They've lost 4 in a row. The Patriots are 1-6. They've lost 6 in a row since winning the Week 1 game in Cincinnati against the Bengals. That's the longest losing streak for the New England Patriots since the year I was born, 1993. So these are some new problems for the Patriots they haven't experienced this century. What's your prognostications for this contest?
By the way, you can get this Jets merchandise, this Boy Green merchandise, on the link down below. So please, we got the bacon products out there. It's got new, cool athletic shirt, the sweat wicker upper.
Yeah, that's right.
So this game is going to be much closer than people are giving it credit for. Yeah, could Aaron Rodgers and Davante click, and all of a sudden, throwing the ball all over the place. Without Lazard, I think that frees up the ability to focus more on. I'll tell you what, I would do little to cover Wilson because they haven't showed the consistency there, right? He's caught a lot of balls and a lot of targets, but the production has been, So I'm the Patriots. I focus on Davante Adams, and I do what they do because they're pretty stout against the run, I believe. But it's going to be close. I'm going to take the Jets 23-20.
Okay, that's for all you New England people that are attempting to cover the spread. You can put that on the list, I suppose, of things to be able to do. That's for sure. I think
I really rely on the stopping of the run, and I think this Drake May is going to surprise people today, especially this banged up secondary.
Which certainly there's some credence to that. Yeah, New England in terms of stopping the run, they have not been great. They've allowed 136 yards rushing per game, and that's what led to Gerard Mayo calling them soft earlier this week. So they have not been ideal against run defense, which could be an opportunity for Breece Hall. But in the same category, the Jets aren't very far from the Patriots. So the Patriots are allowing 136 yards rushing per game, which is, if I'm doing... That's like top half of the league. The Jets are just a few notches below that, allowing 127.7 yards rushing per game, defensively speaking. So, from a Jet perspective, on the other side, they've had some issues in that particular department. There's no question about it. And then on the other side, for offensive rushing numbers, Obviously, Baltimore's first in the league, but the Jets are second last in the league. Cowboys have the worst rushing offense in the league with 77 yards rushing per game. The Jets are just barely above that at 82 yards rushing per game. The Patriots are also in the bottom 10. They're at least at 111 rushing yards per game, but not great either. So we're going to see some of how these numbers end up switching to the other side. So you have 23-20 New York Jets. Well, a win would be nice. We're running out of time to get wins in the month of October. Only 2 left with this game and then the Halloween festivity game coming up on Thursday Night Football. We'll have more on that later. And also, speaking of plugs, DJ Bieneme, who covers the Houston Texans for ESPN, our good old buddy who used to cover the Jets. He'll be joining us live, Boy Green Meets Woody, 3 o'clock, game day, Halloween. That's special coming up in a couple of days. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Shout out to DJ for coming back on the show. That's going to be wonderful. But I will share, my prediction tomorrow with Woody. I'm very much looking forward to that. That should be a doozy. All right, Pop, are you ready to open up the phone lines?
Let's go.
All right,
the
here we go.
Light
everybody.
has not been lit yet, so we're clear.
Okay, excellent. That's important to note because I want to make sure I don't want you getting late to your bacon here. So you guys can call into the show. Feel free to do so. You guys can use YouTube to be able to do that. Feel free. That is now in the YouTube comment section. I've just made that the pinned comment. So if you guys would like to call into the show, you have to do it over on youtube.com/BoyGreen25. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, like I said, you have to hop on over to YouTube to be able to call into the show. Shout out to the 400 people that are watching. Thank you so much. Like the video, hit subscribe, and thank you for the memberships. Again, we're 40 members away for that. So let's see if we can get NY Jets FL sooner rather than later. Let's go to our boy Hep, who is screaming Green Goblin because he loves some Jalen Mills action. What's up, Hep?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by him. And but anyway, I like what your pop said the other day about bringing in Pete Carroll. And it's really Woody opened up the can of worms by firing our coach in the middle of the season. And realistically, Saleh didn't have the brain power to go, even if we snuck into the playoffs, to do anything once we got there. He'd be outcoached by most of the coaches that would get into the playoffs at this point.
Probably true.
Pete Carroll, he has the right temperament to actually come in now and to say like, look, guys, I know it's, he's loose enough. Gruden would not, he would be like a bull in a china shop. Everybody, he would, but Pete Carroll, no, he's got a good way about him as far as that's concerned. So I think that would be a possible move. However, the season's looking kind of rough. But as I said, 2-5. We'll see this week. With if Davante will fill the Lizard's spot. If he'll take that. And I think G-Dub is totally embarrassed by last week, and this is his redemption game. And we're going to see Brees run the ball. The thing is, are we going to be able to stop the run? I mean, that's the thing up the middle. I mean, that's like getting run up the middle. That's like getting it in the shower or something from a prison in the prison or something. That's the worst. That's the worst way to
demoralizing.
Yeah, that's the worst way. It is. It's the worst way.
I've never ranked the ways, but I would imagine that is
that is the worst way. And hopefully you don't have powdered soap because
wow. I would just say this on that theme though, Hep, because like in the first, we talk about the differences, right? Because that was the last time the Jets won a game, was against New England. We were there for that. That was fun. But like the Jets said, Jacoby Brissett, okay, we're putting 40 guys in the box, beat us, and they were able to stop the run. This time, if you're that daring, we'll see if Drake May is going to take some of those shots. I would imagine he will attempt, and we will see what happens. The secondary Sauce has not been Sauce this year. He's been penalized all over the place. Again, it's going to be a great coup to have DJ Reed, Michael Carter, the second back. That's awesome. But you can't do the same strategy you did last time where you just dare Drake May to beat you from that perspective. You're probably going to put Drake May in those compromising positions where he's got to make a tough throw or a tough play. But Jacoby and Drake May, those are just different levels of vehicle that you're going against here. You can't sell out quite that much to stop the run, but you still need to stop the run. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Now, your Pop is right. It is hard to beat a team twice in a season, no matter who it is. It's hard to beat a team twice in a season. So it is going to be a little closer than we realize. The other thing is the way that DJ Reed is playing. Do we bring him back?
I want DJ Reed back so much. He just epitomizes his mentality. You know, he's a former 5th-round pick. He got kicked around the league. The 49ers gave up on him. Seattle picked him up. He's a smaller guy. Like, the vibe of him, the play of him, the mentality, all of it I love. And to me, that's why, you know, this past offseason where all these Jet fans were like attending the DJ Reed funeral saying, well, this is going to be the last year. I'm like, why does it have to be? He's under contract. Like, we could find a way to keep him. Like, let's try to see what we can do. And everyone, well, it's been fun. I'm like, what do you mean it's been fun? He's still here right now. Please stop. So, yes, I would love to do it. We'll see if the Jets shell out the necessary bucks. I think it's also, to your point, you know, Hep, that, you know, who's going to be the coach, you know, of this team? Is the scheme the same? And this, that, or the other? I think that will also factor in coming in, but I hope he does because, man, he just represents Jet fans so well. And he's a guy who, let's be honest, our Jets free agent history isn't great of bringing guys in saying, oh, we're going to pay this guy a lot of money. Tremaine Johnson's and this loser and that loser. For DJ Reed, he's one of the best Jets free agent additions we've ever had, and he's been spectacular.
Yeah. One last thing. I was thinking maybe, how about having Corley back there returning kicks?
Please, something. Here's the thing. It sucks so bad. Xavier Gibson sucks. Isaiah Davis sucks. Like, why not just for shits and giggles say, you know what, let's just throw someone back there and see what happens? Because right now, it's been a net negative for the team. They're not even in opportunities where they should just be fair catching it. Again, if there's all these new rules, I know everyone doesn't get them all, but if the ball gets kicked into the end zone, you just say, yep, I'm not bringing this out. You're at the 30-yard line. And the Jets have been like, fuck the 30-yard line. We're going to the house. And then they get tackled at the 15. I'm like, okay. And that's net field position you don't think about during the game. The 15 yards there, 15 yards there, 15 yards there. And then it adds up because when you're battling for field position, you're punting back and forth. All of a sudden, that extra 15 yards is a dramatic difference as you're trying to get to the end zone. So please, that's another sneaky thing. I can't remember if that was FL Phil 98 or whoever earlier about getting Malachi Corley on the field. Offensively, sure, that'd be fun. But why not for the return game? He's going to be up. That would be a perfect guy to throw back there in the return game. Love it, Hep.
I mean, it's set up like a running game now anyway, the way that game. I'm not really too thrilled about this return situation. It's not that exciting. What I would do personally is move the kick back to the 30, kick from the 30, and add additional players specifically for special teams. Maybe they have a band on. They say they're only special team players. And get some more juice back into the kickoff return because it's really kind of lame nowadays. I mean, I'm from the 70s and the late 60s, so I remember kickoff returns, Billy White Shoes Johnson, all these guys. I mean, it was some exciting plays. I mean, it was like killed a man with the ball, let's face it. But, you know, I don't know what the story is. But anyway, peace out, guys. Sorry for taking so much time.
All right, love it. No, a great call, Hep. I really appreciate it. And as FLFL 98 says, many of us have been screaming for Cortland kicks. It is kind of an extended running plays in a lot of ways because you get time, almost like vision, because of how the lines are set up. It's like lines of scrimmage. You get the ball, you see how your blocks, you try to get vision of seeing where's the angle, where's the crease, and then you hit it and go. So again, with how terrible it's been, I'm absolutely open for business. And quite frankly, even before the terribleness, I'm like, let's get Corley. Let's see. If we can't get him on the field, because Todd Downing said this week, our wide receivers room is loaded. It's not an indictment on Corley. Then get him on special teams. That's what a coach's job is supposed to do. Find a way to get your best players on the field. And again, we don't know what he is, but for the love of God, let's certainly put him out there. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We got Easy and his grits here on the show. What's up, Easy?
I got Quaker Oats and the other shit was better.
Hey, Easy, do you remember the show Alice? Do you remember what Flo's tagline was?
Yeah, kiss my grits.
That's right. Kiss my grits.
Hey, Easy, can you just adjust your mic a little bit?
You're quiet. Hey, while you adjust the mic, I want to give some.
I
want just a quick shout out that the Jets returns. I agree with what you said. But Xavier Gibson is actually not as bad as you indicated, right? He's actually 8th in return average for kickoffs and in the middle of the pack on punts. I just want to throw that.
Gibson's not bad, but he scares the crap out of me every time. He fobbles the ball a lot. Yeah. Why the hell did we get rid of Codrington? He showed absolute spark, and we give him the Buffalo. I just don't get that.
Let me see. That's the one thing I'll check on Buffalo real quick. How has he done? Because in the games that I've seen, I haven't seen him pop or anything. But I'll double check statistics to see if he's done anything there. Yeah, I don't. In general, though, as I'm looking up the numbers from an overall perspective, I don't love helping out a division rival number one, and especially for inconsequential gain. We're talking about nothing here. So yeah, so I have all his numbers in front of me. He's played in all 7 games this year. He's only had 4 kick returns. That just goes to show how that's.
And he was a DB as well. He was a defensive back. So
yeah, he played reserve nickel. He wasn't really performing great from a preseason perspective on that, but still pretty good. He's averaging 32.5 yards per return. That's really good. He has a long of 53, so he had a really good return for Buffalo at some point this year. His punts, he's had 11 punts for 115, 10.5 per clip. So yeah, he's done very well.
He's electric.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, when people complain about Joe D, and I love Joe D, but
Sure.
this is some of the stuff that they complain about him. Getting rid of JFM, I mean, we had a good team. Our defense was stellar, and it's not as strong as it was last year. We have to hope that Reddick is ready.
For sure. It sounds like he is by all accounts. So, again, proof is in the pudding for a lot of people. A lot of this other words out, Reddick looks ready. The Davante Adams speech rallied the troops, this, that, or the other. People are like, okay, we're on a 4-game losing streak. Let's win.
The hell with word salad. I want to see
100%.
bones and veins in your teeth on the field. I mean, they were talking about Pete Carroll, one of the guys.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, a couple of years back when he had his Super Bowl run, they did tackling drills. I mean, they did tackling drills. He did not like these guys trying to cross body blocks and just bashing them with their shoulder. He wanted them to be wrapped up. Fundamentals. I just never understood why NFL players don't like to tackle. You got to tackle in Pee-wee, you got to tackle in high school, you got to tackle in college. But NFL players think that they can just go dive at your thigh. This is an NFL running back now. This is not some college kid with an elite college player. These are all elite college players in the NFL.
Yeah,
everyone is elite.
It's twofold. First off, it's lazy, and number two, it's the Sports Center hits, right? The Bob Sanders and I'm not trying to call it Bob Sanders is not a good tackler, just like he had a lot of tackles in his history where he just laid the lumber on somebody with brute force, and the guy got spun back and flipped over, and it's these big highlight plays. But again, the consistency of making sure profile, grab, shoot to the ground, drive, grab the feet so they can't run anymore and bring them down to the ground. It's not as sexy, but it's effective, and I want the Jets to be more effective than sexy.
You got to wrap, you got to lift, and you got to drive. That's how you tackle.
That's it. Except the quarterback, because then you'll get a penalty.
That's true. Yeah, you can't.
But by the way, if you're going to get that penalty,
you can't drive him into
15-yarder. It's a 15-yarder if you take a step and a half, or it's a 15-yarder if you take 4 steps. And if you body slam him, or you just whatever, or land on top,
or you don't take your weight right. So you may as well kill him. Is what you're saying.
That's right. You might as well get all your money worth.
You guys are sick, but yeah.
No, we're not sick. We're just older guys that remember blood and guts and veins in your teeth football.
Yeah. Good times.
That's it was good times, except for when Darryl Stingley got his neck broken in that Oakland Raider game. But other than that,
How are your grits doing, by the way, Easy? I could hear them just softly cooking there.
That's just the water cooking off between the heat element and the bottom of the pot.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. You got a full entourage happening there for breakfast.
Full entourage. No, do you want to see my kitchen? This is my kitchen.
Sure, okay. All right.
The dryer is my countertop. That's my stove.
Wow,
I had to replace the floor and all this stuff because it rotted out. My rent's $400, so my landlord goes, "You want to pay $1,400 a month? I'll fix everything. For $400, you fix it." So I had to fix everything.
Easy. I think what you're missing is the Boy Green Hop on Pop apron for your Saturday morning breakfast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Sure.
I got the jet hat.
That's right.
There you go.
Anyway, I'm glad you guys had a good time when you were hanging out together. My son's with his girlfriend out in Kitty Hawk today, so I don't have my son with me. I don't have my pop with me because he's 6 feet under. But I'm not, and I'm here, and I'm on Boy Green Coffee Cub, and
Let's go, baby. Love it.
And I do have my coffee.
There you go. Boom.
Love it. You love it, EZ. Thanks for the call, brother, and good luck on the grits. Good luck on the grits. All right, let's head back to the phone lines. Appreciate it, everybody. Nearly 500 people in the room. Make sure you guys are liking the video, hit and subscribe. We appreciate that. Johnny Boy here on the program.
Johnny Boy is bringing the full package this morning.
I'm sorry?
The package and the goods must be packed right all the time, every day. Just know that, Boy Green, okay?
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, I guess. Yep.
And just remember, that's what she said.
That's well said. Well said. It's good to see you,
package correctly.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Papa Esden and Boy Green, what's going on? Love the insight today. I did want to ask a couple of questions, right? Hep was kind of talking about it a little bit in regards of like the coaching and stuff and everything, but I was waiting for your dad to come on, and I don't know if he's seen all the Rex Ryan interviews and things in regards of what he was saying. I haven't asked you either, Boy Green, because I was waiting for your pops to get on and all that, but I wanted to get your guys' take on what Rex has been saying, right? And is it a possibility that, we would to bring him back? I know the biggest issue with him was, he didn't want anybody else doing anything. It was all about him and all that. And most of the interviews, he says things have changed. He's not like that anymore, to where he knows that he kind of needs to give up the reins in regards to like the offense and, maybe getting some talent and all that. I think he would pair very well with JD. If that's the case, right? Is that somebody that we would bring? Because, he does motivate very well and he will keep people accountable. So what's your guys' take on that?
The thing is it's fun to remember the good times of Rex and then to say, man, with Aaron Rodgers, like, boy, the Jets would have done blee, blah, blue. Again, I have it over my left shoulder, the Rex Ryan book, Play Like You Mean It. That's always in the shot that people can see. The part that we forget about, unfortunately, is that, and you mentioned it a little bit there, but Rex Ryan's last couple of years, that went to absolute garbaggio for the New York Jets. So is it realistic that Woody would dip his toe back in those waters again and go back to I'm not so opposed to a retread as someone who's done it before, as opposed to, because again, for instance, a very popular name, the betting favorite, according to, I think it's ESPN Bet, is Ben Johnson. The Lions offense coordinator is going to be the next head coach of the Jets. He's the betting favorite, but he's never done the head coaching thing before. Are the Jets willing to dip their toes in that particular water of like, we're the first on this guy and it's going to blow up? Or do we get like a retread that's worked? Like, for instance, I hear another popular name is Kevin Stefanski. With how things are going there in Cleveland, he's a multi-time coach of the year. It's all going south for a lot of other reasons. Does he somehow shake free? And then you go after someone like that who's proven he can do it as a head coach before. So, I don't know if Rex is realistic. It's fun to talk about because Rex is one of us. He always will be. And he's on Get Up and he's doing all these like, play for the Jets on your jersey. And like, we're fired up from that. But I don't know if it's realistic of him actually coming back because, he has been out of the game for a while. He's just doing the media stuff now, which isn't a total, that doesn't mean you can't do it. But, I think some of those concerns and how things ended would probably prevent it from happening. What say you, Pop?
Yeah. So not surprisingly, I completely disagree with Boy Green. So I would tell you that he is better suited now to be a head coach. His current role, he analyzes every team. He breaks down the strengths and weaknesses of every team. Essentially, he doesn't have the restrictions that the head coach can do a lot of things day in, day out, and they don't get the opportunity to really dive into the film and see all these different things. I mean, they do it, but they have other things to orchestrate, if you will. And I would say what's lacking for the Jets, and it's not talent. It is a clear set of passion and accountability. That is what's lacking. And I would say if you're going to go get Hassan Reddick, if you're going to get Aaron Rodgers, if you're going to get Davante Adams, if you're going to down the road, right, you're going to get all these people who made the commitment to some of the players that we have, then you don't get that guy might be good, right? That guy might work out. That Lions offensive coordinator. Well, that's nice. That's cute, right? But if we're going all in on the players, why wouldn't we go all in on the coach? And so when you go, you get Saleh, the experiments. You get a defensive coordinator from San Francisco. That's cute, right? Didn't work. So you got to get a proven commodity. And I'm okay with Rex Ryan. I'm okay. And I think the special consultant with Pete Carroll is what you really do in the middle of the year. It would be hard for the Rex Ryan to come in right now. But I would get the John Gruden. I would make these moves. You want to go all in, let's go all in and get the real, not a might be good guy. That guy might be good because, he seems like he's doing good at G. Willikers at his job now. A proven commodity that's brought to the table, clear motivation, and whether it's Chucky or the foot sniffer, I think either one is gonna be the right. That's what they need, an accountability motivator guy, and I think Gruden and Rex. So I think bringing Rex back is 100% should be on the table.
I just think that coaches that are gonna come over here to us, right, are going to have to deal with Woody. And you know how Woody is. He just wants to be, what's the reasoning behind him having to mention what color jerseys we're going to wear, the uniforms for the day? Why does he need to be on the field wearing all white after Labor Day with a chain on and wearing clown shoes? He just wants to be seen and things like that, and not every coach likes that, right? And I believe that Rex has already dealt with him, knows how to be able to use. So I think that comes into play as well. Because look, I would love to have Ben Johnson come over here and everything. We've been pounding the table for an offensive minded coach and all that, right? But if I'm a coach and I see, the owner and, the craziness that's going along with the Jets organization, I'm not going to put myself in a position to lose. I mean, how many coaches have we had over the years? It's insane. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys that, I don't think anybody's talked about, but Ulbrich bringing in that coordinator to take over the defensive roles that was just that they were talking about. I think he was like coaching in Iowa or something like that. But Ulbrich picked up some guy that's going to be coming in on Monday and helping out with the actual defensive cause as well, which I thought was great because he does have too much stuff on his plate. And I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that as well, with him having too much stuff on his plate.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So thanks for the call, Johnny. I will answer that. Yes, we haven't talked about it a lot, but because I saw it, but then other news came up. But yes, so it's an interesting hire here by Jeff Ulbrich. It's a former NFL linebacker. He currently is a defensive coordinator at a lower level school. His name's Paul Warlow. He's going to leave his role after his final game on Friday to join the Jets staff as a defensive assistant, apparently according to Delaware Online. So we'll see. He looks like an intriguing guy. He was his former position coach with the Atlanta Falcons. So something interesting. I'm not exactly sure the exact role he will be filling with the New York Jets, but sort of interesting. Sort of an interesting hire. I don't know if you saw anything about it, Pop.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it, but it makes complete sense, right? You have one less person doing the work.
Right. Yes.
At this, at Jets Incorporated, one less person doing the work. Bringing somebody in makes a lot of sense, and then you got to let the person. You let him shop for the groceries, right? He picked this person to come in, help him out. He has a like defensive mind, apparently. Has some kind of relationships. I think it's the right thing to do to help offset the load for Ulbrich, 100%.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We've got FFL 98 on the move. What's up, brother?
Morning, gentlemen. I wanted to jump on a couple of things one thing that Johnny mentioned and one thing Hep mentioned. So I agree with Johnny about the Rex thing. I remember watching like film from camp and stuff with Woody, like with his arms folded, talking to Rex. He actually spit a couple of times. Like, you know what I mean? Like just trying so hard to be that dude. Like, I'm part of this crew. So I actually think that for all the reasons your pop said, but also that factor is huge. I think Woody loved the fact that Rex kind of kissed his ass, knew how to schmooze him, make him feel like you the man. So I think that would actually play in pretty well. And we certainly couldn't be any worse off than we are. So, if it blows up, oh well, but then Pep mentioned the kick stuff. From the very beginning of the year, one of the things I thought was really stupid, they did all of this in an effort to bring back the kick return, but keep people safe. And I get it. And it's actually, I think in that regard, that works.
Yeah.
But you only move the ball 5 yards for kicking in the end zone.
Yeah.
If you kick it in the end zone and it came out to the 35 or 40, now you really got a decision to make. Bringing it out to the 30, what the hell? If you don't want to give them the opportunity for the big play, it's only 5 yards. You kick it into the end zone. So I think if you kick it in the end zone, it comes out to the 37 and a half or something, maybe you'll see some more kick returns.
Right. Make it punitive. I think that's what a lot of NFL teams are saying. It's like, again, like, okay, NFL, this is going to be a rule. We're booting it out of the back of the end zone. We've seen that more times than not. Like, we're not going to risk it in a moment where one silly right angle and our return team blows it on a lane. It's a touchdown to the other side. So, right. I think that's the key. And they're not going to change it, sounds like, in the middle of the season, but making it more punitive. If you kick it through the back of the end zone, they're getting at this is way too aggressive, but like the 40, like, whoa, okay, we don't want to do that. So we want to kick it like right beforehand and encourage those returners to come out. So, I think there's some more alterations needed.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I'll tell you that a few teams have a really good kicker, and they are putting it right there on the 5, right? Mm-hmm. And you only do that if you're fully vested in the tackling your special teams. But I would tell you, we talked about having Corley do some returns. I think I like Corley on the punts, but here's what I like. I like Agent Zero on the kickoff because you know what a kickoff is? It's just a running play, right? Yep. A punt is a punt, right? You got to be quick. You got to be the yak champion like Corley is. You put Agent Zero back there on a kickoff. It's a big ass running play, and who's going to want to tackle him? So I mean, he caused some pain, and people are going to make business decisions on the kickoff.
Well, that's what I think on the kickoff return. It's the zigzag debate. Do you get Braylon Allen who's going to punch you in the, excuse my Guatemala, right in the fucking mouth? And like, whoa, okay, that guy's going to break a tackle or two. Or do you get the Olympic track athlete, which some teams have done? You break that initial line and he's gone to the house. It's a cover zero play on defense and he's just gone and he just beats you with speed. So I think we have almost a half a season sample size. I'm not even quite sure if we have the right answer of which one's right, or maybe there's not a right. Maybe you could both be right. Maybe there's different situations where they are, but that's kind of curious. You could go either way, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about two guys instead of one? What if you put a speedster like Izzy and Corley, and whichever one they kick to, that's kind of the approach you take to the return.
Oh, I like that too. I would say then you don't commit. Yeah, go
there's
ahead,
a few teams that have done that, and just for example, in the middle of the beatdown of the Cowboys' last game, they had Turpin out there, who's one of the best return guys in the game. Went to the Pro Bowl last year for returns, and all he did with the second guy is on two occasions he motioned like he was going to pitch it to them. And that was enough to throw off that he ended up with the ball. I think it was a 40-yard return on both kick returns. They tried, and all he did was this, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't, nothing that broke stride, right? And then you had that dichotomy that a few people had to make a decision. Where are we going? Are we going to go with the fake? We're not going to go with the fake.
It was a quick, and then the lanes broke up 100%. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
we have seen no trickery from the Jets this year. 100%. We've seen no creativity from the return perspective.
We got to empty the cupboard, right?
Sure.
If we're going to go all in, that means all in once or twice a game. Unlike the Lions who ran like 35 trick plays in one quarter. You got to have two or three a game. If we're going all, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, going back to the beginning of the season, I said, to me, having Izzy as your fourth running back and never suiting up. So it's just kind of, to me, a waste of not just talent, but like a roster spot. So if you got a week where you feel like you can sit a wide receiver that week, why not activate Izzy, sit the wide receiver or a tight end or whatever, and put him on kickoff return? It's just he's the fourth guy. So you're waiting for somebody to get hurt to activate him. And even if you do, the reason he couldn't get on the field before, they said, was pass blocking. So if you bring it, if somebody gets hurt, he's number 3, he's still not getting on the field. And the way it is now, even our number 2 running back isn't getting enough touches. So what's the freaking point? Why is he even there?
It's a good question because they have Braylon Allen, to your point, they've completely phased out over the last 2 weeks, and Todd Downing's taken over play calling. So I don't know if that's a Todd Downing decision or who, but yeah, Braylon Allen's been wiped off the field and has not been playing, which has been stunning. So yeah, to me, you know what's currently happening is not working. Why not mix it up? Literally, what do you have to lose? I like it, FFL.
Well, I like the way your pop said it. Yeah, it's like just time to empty the freaking shit. Just empty the bag. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Thanks for the call, brother, and have a great weekend.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great day.
There you go. Yeah, empty the chamber, empty the whatever you want to call it. Let's go. Let's leave it all on the table, and at least when you get to the end, you're like, well, we unloaded everything that we had. We weren't like, damn, man, we had a whole thing we didn't get to. That's too bad, right? So I think unloading the clip is fully there. All right, Pop, is there anything else you wanted to get to before we sign off?
Yeah, just to that last point, I'd really like to say, we're underutilizing Braylon Allen, right? And whether it's in the receiving game or in the rushing game, he's right there, believe it or not, in average yards per reception, right behind Brees. And he's gaining more yards per rush. Got to give him a bigger sample size, have the right play calls. And I keep saying it over and over again, right? When he is hit in the backfield, because this offensive line is, I don't know what's the word, suspect. When he gets hit in the backfield, one of them, right? It's like those little things you used to push the bottom and they collapsed.
Yeah.
Or the other one breaks a tackle and it's a gain. So I don't know. We got to do something different. It's exciting. This is a turning point. There's 6 days. This is 6 days that will determine 2024 for the Jets. In my opinion, 6 days, 2 wins. The season is on the track to recovery. Lose either one, it's on a different track.
Yeah, currently the Jets are 2-5. To your point, if they were able to beat the New England Patriots, they're on the road in New England, and then they host the Houston Texans for Thursday Night Football this week. You win both those, all of a sudden you're 4-5. You're like, whoa, wait a second here. And your next 2 games are Cardinals Colts, which we could both, I think, fairly call 50-50 games. Who knows? Cardinals and Colts have been very Jekyll and Hyde. Depending on the week, we face different teams. Those ones are up in the air, and you look at it, and you could say, wow, we can either be 500, just a game above 500. Like, let's see potentially what can happen there. Before we sign off, Easy with a member shout out. He has been a member for 3 months. We appreciate it. Every time we get a member shout out or a super chat, Soraya Luna, my daughter, chimes in. Wow. WOW. If you want kick returns back, touch back to the 20. Yeah, that would certainly encourage them because they wouldn't want to be penalized for that as well. That's a great idea, Easy.
Yes, just for Easy, I always appreciate the calls, whether I'm on the show or not on the show. I do appreciate the camera angles on a Saturday more than during the week because let's keep the camera up.
Yep,
above
the waist. Thank you very much.
No shots below the waist.
No, thank you. That would be perhaps Boy Green After Dark. And by the way, I will give you a spoiler. I won't be on that episode either. So thank you. God bless. And with that being said, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back on tomorrow morning for a game day episode of Jets Patriots. We're back to our comfortable 1 o'clock kick. There you go. That's our only 1 o'clock kick, by the way, through the bye week. And then after, we have a couple of 1 o'clock games, which will be refreshing. But yeah, we got 1 o'clock, Thursday Night Football, 4:25 with Arizona, and then Sunday Night Football are the next couple of weeks for the New York Jets. So again, game day episode tomorrow with Woody. We'll see you guys then. Enjoy the heck out of your Saturday. And we got more coming up right here on the channel. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, and join the Boy Green Coffee Club down below. You guys can always check out the Boy Green official merch shop that my father is pointing to right now. It's Hop on Pop Hats, Boy Green Coffee Club merch, and so much more is added all the time. Make sure you guys are constantly checking that. That's always in the YouTube description down below. See you guys.